What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So obviously we still have a long way to go in the 2023-2024 season in terms of teams making the playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs and all, but it's never too early to look ahead to the offseason and start predicting where free agents might potentially go. So I stumbled upon an article from the good people over at Bleacher Report predicting some of the top names. I haven't read through it. I only saw the headline and read the first two paragraphs. So we're going to be reacting to that. I assume they're going to pick the top 5 through 10 guys where they're going to end up in this offseason. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Obviously, we have a lot of guys like Patrick Kane, Guentzel, Reinhart, Stamkos. I assume there's going to be answers for these guys. Interested to see where Lyle Richardson thinks that they're going to go. So shout out Bleacher Report. Shout out Lyle Richardson. All right, we can just skip through this stuff. Yeah, Nylander off the market. Yeah. Guentzel. Okay, Jake Guentzel obviously traded from Pittsburgh to Carolina. Where do they have him going? He's playing pretty good in Carolina right now. He has 11 points in 9 games. Guentzel will be such a good fit with the Hurricanes that they'll spend the money to keep him long term, even though they have restricted free agents like Martin H. Yeah, the thing with Carolina is I think they're going to try everything to keep Guentzel. Obviously, he's a very good player. He fits in with them in terms of their age, and he's just a fantastic goal scorer, 40 and 40 kind of guy. They have a metric shit ton of restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents, like Martin H., like Seth Jarvis, who's obviously not going to, obviously they're going to re-sign Jarvis. So maybe they're going to have to get rid of someone like a Martin H. I think someone like a Brett Pesce's already out the door for the most part. So that's definitely going to be interesting. But if it's between trading Martin H. for a first-round pick to some other team that wants to give him a contract, if it means keeping Jake Guentzel, I think you have to do that. I think you 1,000% have to do that. But that's definitely going to be something to monitor. I think the price tag, I don't know how Carolina, they did give Aho $9.75 million, so I can't imagine them giving Guentzel anything north of that. But I would be very surprised if they got Jake Guentzel for $8.5 million. You look at some of the other guys that signed in that range. First name that comes in my mind is Timo Meier. Jake Guentzel, way more proven and just straight up better player than a Timo Meier from last year. So I would assume that it's $9 million, maybe even a little bit more than $9 million. But yeah, I can't see 8.5. Noah Hanifin traded from the Vegas Golden or traded to the Vegas Golden Knights from the Calgary Flames. I have no clue how Vegas is going to extend him, so I assume they're going to say that he does not re-sign. Boston Bruins. The Bruins worth around $8 million. Jeez, that would be expensive. I said that he was going to sign like a 7-year deal at around 6.75. I could maybe see $8 million. When looking at the Boston Bruins, I think they just mentioned in the article, but they have a metric shit ton of cap space this season. This was never really their year to go all in, considering they had $4 million in bonus overages from the Patrice Bergeron and Krejci signings, as well as just they gave a lot of guys 1-year deals, and there's a lot of expiring money off their books, and they might end up trading a guy like Linus Ullmark to even get $5 million off the books. So I think the Boston Bruins are going to be very active, and Hanifin is from the Boston area, I believe, as well. So that does make some sense, and then they'd have that three-headed monster of Lindholm, Hanifin, McCoy boy, I almost just said. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. I can see that 1,000% happening. Patrick Kane heading to where? Yeah, I think he's going to double this. I think he's going to get at least $5.5 million, whether it's a 1-2-year deal. Kane will test the market with the Eastern Conference playoff contender, bonus laden that could take him up to around $5 million. A return with the Rangers is possible. Maybe he'll sign with the hometown Buffalo Sabres and end their long playoff drought. Yeah, when looking at Patrick Kane, I think it's going to be a 1-year deal. I think he's going to keep his flexibility that he has right now. I don't think he wants to sign 2-3 years. I don't know if he's going to do it with the Buffalo Sabres, considering they did bust so much this year relative to expectations. If they made the playoffs this season, even in a wild card spot, I could see him come back to Buffalo when they are a playoff team and only rising. Is Patrick Kane going to be willing to sign a 1-year deal with Buffalo and maybe miss the playoffs? I'm not so sure. He might not even make the playoffs this year with the Detroit Red Wings, but this year was kind of more just a prove-it year, so it made sense. He didn't really have the pick of the litter. This summer, he's going to have the pick of the litter after being a point-per-game guy. So I can definitely see a New York Rangers, maybe the Florida Panthers somehow get creative, even though they got a bunch of guys that we're probably going to get to that they need to re-sign. I agree that he's probably going to stay out. He's an East Coast guy through and through. I think he's going to stay on the Eastern Conference and go to some type of contender, but definitely going to be interesting. Lindholm's a very interesting one because he's playing not good on the Vancouver Canucks right now. He's playing quite ass on the Vancouver Canucks. I think he's something 8 points in 20 games right now. The Bruins. Whoa. The Bruins again. This Lyle Richardson might be a Bruins fan at this point. They have him signed with the Bruins. $8 million. Dude, the Calgary Bruins over here. If they get Lindholm and Hanifin, that would definitely be interesting. I don't love the idea of Lindholm to the Boston Bruins. He's not a true number one center at $8 million. I personally would not like that one bit, especially because you have to give him like a 7-year deal. If I'm the Bruins, I'm probably staying away from Lindholm based on what I've seen over the past 2 years. Basically, since he had that 42 goal, 40 assist season, I would stay away. $8 million, 7 years. I don't like that one bit. Sign Noah Hanifin. He's younger. He's been more consistent the past 2 to 3 years. Stay away from Lindholm, in my opinion. I think Lindholm's going to sign some type of deal, not with like a contender, but like a middling level playoff team that thinks that they can add Lindholm and become a legit playoff team, but probably can't. I think Lindholm's probably going to end up rotting somewhere. Jonathan Marchessault. I think he's probably, my prediction in my video was like 3 years, $5.56 million, I think. We noted that Jonathan Marchessault was in the original. Yeah, Vegas. I'm sure Vegas is going to try to keep him when they're brightest. But they have $9.7 million in cap next year. I guess, yeah, with the Leonard, that's $5 million more. 7.5 to 8 would be just too much. Yeah, hits the open market. Carolina could come calling if they don't re-sign Jake Guentzel. Dallas, that would be interesting. Yeah, Joe Pavelski. I think Joe Pavelski is going to sign another like 1 year, $3 million contract. And then Florida Panthers. Yeah, I don't know if I like these predictions. I don't know how they'd fit him. When looking at it, Marchessault, I love him as a player, but he is 33 years old. Giving him a 4 year deal at $7.5 million, that doesn't really wet my beak that much in terms of loving that kind of deal. Dallas would probably make the most sense. Again, if Joe Pavelski's play has dipped a little bit, they're trying to upgrade over Pavelski, but it's going to cost them so much more money. I don't know. I can't see Marchessault leaving Vegas. Like, I just can't see that. But them getting Hurdle, who still owed $6.75 million, is a massive, massive thing that they got to keep in mind over the next couple of years. Brandon Montour, Sam Reinhart. Yeah, these guys. Montour had his career year last year, thankfully, for the Florida Panthers. But Reinhart is in the middle of one, so they have a little bit of a shit show. Montour, yeah, $3.5 million. He's getting probably double that. Reinhart, 6.5. He's probably getting another 2 to 3 million on top of that. Panthers would be jockeying for first. They projected 21.5 and only 12 players under contract. So I think Reinhart and Montour are the only big names, but they have a lot of other guys that they need to fill for $1 to $3 million each to fill those spots. With looking like yeah, I agree. They're going to find a way. Reinhart's, dude, this guy's way too conservative with his picks. $8 million for Reinhart. Sam Reinhart, fire your agent, hire me if you're only getting $8 million. That is absolutely crazy. I know no state income tax, but that doesn't make up the difference that you should be getting around 9.25. I think Sam Reinhart should not accept anything under $9 million. That is absolutely criminal. Montour, that was around what I said as well. 5-year deal. Also, Reinhart, he would obviously get 8 years. What are you doing? But Montour, yeah, 6.5 seems right. Forsland got 5.75. Montour, more proven guy. You give him 6.5, call it a day. And then we got Steven Stamkos. I personally think that he's going to stay. He's going to sign some like Malkin kind of 4-year, $6 million contract. But let's see. Yeah, 8-year, 8 point. Remember when there was those rumors that he's heading back to Toronto? And what was that, summer of 2016? That was like, he like re-signed and then the Hall and Larson deal went down. It was like the craziest day in NHL history. But yeah. Lightning at 15 active with 11.5. Yeah, I think 3 years. I think even 4, maybe even 5 years just to get him at $6 million makes a lot of sense for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's just one of those guys, and Tampa still is a pretty highly competitive team. It's not a Patrick Kane situation last year where Chicago was still like heading in a complete opposite direction. They needed to get rid of their good players in order to rebuild. I can't imagine Steven Stamkos going to a different team. Like the one team that I would say that makes some sense would be like the New York Rangers. I could see them doing that. He was almost traded there back in like 2010. But I personally could not see Steven Stamkos not on the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they're definitely going to get something done. Out of the most confidence of someone getting re-signed, I think Steven Stamkos might be number one. But yeah, pretty interesting. Reinhart, Montour staying. Marchessault, he's going to be probably the most interesting guy potentially this summer. Lindholm, Boston, don't do it. That's not a good idea. Even though he'd probably flourish in Boston, knowing Boston. Kane, 1-year deal somewhere to a contender. Hanifin, I actually really like the Boston fit. I think that makes a ton of sense. And then Jake Guentzel, I think he probably stays put, and Carolina has to move out a guy or two in order to re-sign him. But let me know in the comments. Hopefully, all of these guys look at this point that they're going to at least be taking their free agency up until June 29th, June 30th for the most part. But let me know in the comments, where do you think that these guys are going to go and for how much money? And I'll be seeing the next one.